to answer some of your questions. One was about the format of the AP Stats exam. So I literally Googled what is the format of the AP Stats exam, and it brought me as the first option on the Google search to this page. And you come down and see exam format. You can see that there are 40 questions on the multiple choice section, and that's the first section that you take. You have 90 minutes for that. That's 50% of your score. Then for the section 2, you have the free response part. There's 6 questions. You have another 90 minutes. There's for that one, and that's also 50% of the exam. In between, you'll have a break of about 10 minutes. For the free response section, it's divided into Part A, which has 5 questions, and Part B, which has one question called the Investigative task, question number 6. So the first 5 questions, it tells you, each one of them is a multi-part question. It'll have anywhere from usually 2 to 4 questions usually broken down, although the last one will usually have more than four questions in it. And it gives you some guidelines here, is that you'll have one part will be primarily focused on collecting data, exploring data, probability and sampling distributions, inference, and then one that combines 2 or more of those things. So collecting data would be like chapters 1 through 4, basically. Collecting data would be like chapter 4, primarily the sampling and experimental design type stuff. Exploring data would be more like chapters 1 and 2 and 3 probably. Then probability and sampling distributions are 5, 6, and 7, and then inference would be 8 through 12. Part B is an investigative task, and it involves some parts that will be very familiar to you and some parts that will not be at all familiar to you. They actually will ask you something that is beyond what you've seen, but ask you to reason using the ideas that you have encountered, and to kind of think on your feet, so to speak, and go beyond the course. And let's look at the scoring of this, because I think that'll be helpful for you to know sort of how to plan your time. So let me find, hang on. This is a scoring sheet from the 2007 exam. So when you see the conversion chart statistics, that has to do specifically with the 2007 exam. It's not the same every year. But this part is. The score is, the exam has 100 points altogether. So the first 40 multiple choice are each scored as 1.25 points. Then the first 5 problems of the free response are scored as 0 through 4. That you get a 0 through 4 score on each question. And then that each point that you get on that question is multiplied by 1.875. So basically a 1 point on the free response is worth more than 1 question on the multiple choice. Okay? Now when you get to question 6, each point on question 6 is worth 3.125 points in your overall score. So it's worth more. Like getting a 2 on question 6 is almost like getting a 4 on questions 1 through 5. So you definitely do not want to omit trying question number 6. It's a really big part of your score. Once you get the total score, then those 100 points are broken down into groupings and assigned a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for your final AP score. And that differs from year to year, depending on the difficulty of the exam and and the overall scores they get. But you can see this particular year, 63 through 100 was a 5, and 49 through 62 was a 4, 37 through 48 was a 3. So you clearly can miss some points and still get a really good score in the AP exam. I would say this was a little on the low side. This is one of the more difficult exams, so maybe you could say 70 and above is typical for a 5. So that might help you kind of understand how the scoring goes and why it's so important to get to question number 6. So let's talk a little bit, let me answer a couple other questions. Do they grade work on the multiple choice? No, not at all. You don't have to show any work at all. What happens if you skip a problem? Nothing happens, you would just miss it. As far as multiple choice goes, there's no penalty for guessing, so I would answer every multiple choice problem, even if you're making a wild guess at the end. As far as free response problems, if you have absolutely no idea, there's almost no way to guess on those, but I mean, you could give it a try. But it would be better to spend your time making sure you answer well the ones you really do know how to answer. When do you find out your score? It's usually around the first or second week of July, which is a long time to wait, I know, but that's when you find them out. In another video, I'll talk a little bit more about some test-taking strategies, but this one's been long enough now.